Greetings, YouTube. Today I'd like to talk about personal responsibility, or more specifically, how that concept seems to be a smidge nebulous when it comes to how people look at the world around them. Now, I'm a big believer that we the people should take care of we the people. And while I believe that there are some areas where personal responsibility is incredibly important, I also believe that we should make sure that no one in our nation or the world at large is without a home, without food, without education, or without health care. That health care is a human right. So, yes, I'm a socialist. I do not think that we should just say, okay, you're out of the womb, you're on your own, walk away. I am not that hard hearted, and it pains me when I see it in the real world. One of the reasons I find the libertarian political position so both ugly and absurd. It just doesn't function. It's not how humans work. But one of the unique things about the concept of personal responsibility is a lot of the time when I've heard that phrase used, it's almost always being spoken about by white folks, often in reference to minority groups, that they don't feel that the minority groups are being personally responsible in one shape or form. But when you start to really break things down, for example, healthcare in particular, they'll say, well, my neighbor or my Aunt Betty, they had a hard time, so maybe it's okay if the government helps subsidize their healthcare in some way. And yet, if you ask them if the same idea, if it's that black family living in a ghetto in a big city, suddenly they don't care so much. So it becomes a real dog whistle for racism. That personal responsibility becomes another way of saying, take care of mine, screw everyone else. That personal responsibility is only applied to other people outside the in-group. And those within the in-group are protected from that, and it's acceptable for them to get the help that they need. Of course, some programs are so ubiquitous we don't even question it. No one questions public schools. Well, okay. Sane people don't question public schools. The GOP does. But you start talking about Social Security and Medicare. Okay, that's okay. People spent their entire career. Maybe they'll do it after they retire. Not a problem. But as you start getting to food stamps, food stamps, even though the majority of people that use food stamps are Caucasian, or we should say European American. How's that fun? And the problem is that the narrative around personal responsibility really is about the in-group and the out-group. And there are double standards whenever that phrase is used. I've never encountered a person that uses that phrase that did not have a double standard when it was applied to the real world. That personal responsibility is something for other people. But me and mine, my neighbors, my family, it's okay if the government helps us. It isn't a handout when it's helping someone I know or me. But it's an undeserved handout when it goes to people in the outgroup. So I'd like to ask you folks, have you experienced this yourself? Have you seen this in action? I'm looking for anecdotal stories here. Yes, this is not data. I understand that. But I would still like to hear them. Your personal experiences in the real world with people who wave the personal responsibility flag until it's time to apply that to their family or them, and suddenly there's a awkward silence, or they completely unironically admit that their family has accepted programs in the past that they would currently deny to other people, and they're utterly unaware that they're doing this. I've seen that happen too. So let's discuss the personal responsibility narrative and how it applies to folks in the in-group and the out-group.